All right, thanks for coming back to segment 3. I hope you had a great opportunity here to love on some of those articles, and you're filling up your articles you've loved queue, and you'll have a great opportunity to use those quickly in the morning when you're pressed for time to get a bunch of other things ready. You can quickly go in there and assign those articles very quickly. And keep in mind, too, you can also unlove an article. So while you're in your love articles you've loved, if you realize, well, that one doesn't really work for me anymore, you can always click on those articles and unlove them too, just to kind of keep your queue a little bit cleaner, so you know those are the articles that you really want to work on. So feel free to love and unlove as much as you want to whenever you get a free moment to spend with Newsela. All right, so I want to spend some time here and talk about what it is that we can do with an article. So I'm going to come back over to this issue overview about having zoos. Since we started talking about this one before, I'm going to work with this one today and talk about the capabilities of Newsela. So we've talked a lot about the beauty of Newsela and the magic of Newsela, but I want to talk about the usage and the capabilities for students and teachers, what we're going to use it for now that you know how Newsela works. So as our students are presented with their appropriate level, they are the possibilities for what students can do is they can read the article, obviously, and once they finish reading the article, there are other opportunities for them to read additional articles that might be related to it if they choose. Again, students are free to read any article that they want to. They don't just have to read the articles that you assign. They can read any article on the Newsela site. Okay, so once they read, students can take a quiz, and again, my quiz looks a little bit different than the students because I'm logged in as a teacher, so it does show me the answers immediately. The students obviously don't see that. They have the questions. They have to click on the answer that they're choosing. They click the next button. Once they scroll down here, they click the next button to the next question, and so on. They do get immediate feedback once they finish their quiz, and that gets recorded into my binder, which I'll show you in just a little bit. So besides taking a quiz, the other capability here is the students can write. So in the writing prompt, the students are presented with a writing prompt. It is the same writing prompt across all 5 levels. However, the teacher can edit this prompt. You can click on the edit, you can delete, you can add information, you can save, you can cancel, and you can adjust that writing prompt to make it appropriate for what you want your students to do. And then the students will have an opportunity to write. They will submit. It shows up in your binder. Again, I'll show you that in just a minute. You have an opportunity to assess that by reading it, and I'll show you that in a little bit too. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is annotations. So what I'm going to talk about with this article is what students can do is they can highlight. See if this is going to work in this part here. They can highlight a piece of text. They can choose a color to highlight it, whatever color they would like to highlight it. And then the students can write something. Now for me, because I'm logged in as a teacher, it says write something to your students. I can also write something to them too. I can pose a question here that I want the students to see, and I can click share, and now that's my question is going to show up right here with the highlighted part here where the students are going to be reading, and I have a question posed in the margins. The students can respond to my question right in the margins, or I can choose to not pose any questions, and I can have the students do that too. So as the students read through their article, I can require them to find a few sentences that they want to respond to that I have them highlight, and they can students can enter a comment or an annotation or a question that they have, and it's all saved here for the students and for me. I can click on their name when I get to the binder, and I can see the comments that the students write in their article. So again, they can highlight, they can choose a color, they can write something, or I can also choose to write to my students too and share. I can say, I can pose a question for my students. I can share it with my students. So you would have to do that on each level for your students. So right now I can pose a question here for my 1160 readers. When I go down to my 950, I have to put the questions in again because, again, the text is going to be a little bit different. So my questions would be a little bit different for those students. So again, that's some of the capabilities of Newsela. The other great thing about being able to use Newsela and the differentiation is that you can have class discussions or small group discussions about the topics happening in your article. So even though your table of students or your small group discussion group might have a variety of reading levels in it, you might have a student from each level and as a group of 5 that are discussing this topic of should we have zoos or should we not have zoos. Everyone is reading the same information, but the students are able to have discussions. So the students that are at a lower level are able to actually read some information, get the gist of the idea, and be able to contribute to their conversation at the table just as much as someone who's reading at the max level or the 1160 level where they're reading something a little bit more complex. So if we put struggling readers up at those max levels, those kids have a hard time comprehending what's happening in the first place. So no wonder they have a hard time contributing to the conversations when they don't really understand what they've read. So if we have this beautiful opportunity to have our students differentiated on the same topic, essentially doing the same reading, but just simplified a little bit, being able to have those discussions about their reading is a great improvement, I think, which is one of the reasons where Newsela has transformed reading with the technology. It's not just that the students are happen to read something on a computer, they're actually reading something that's appropriate for them, and the computer knows how to do that faster and better than any teacher really could ever be able to manage that without burnout. So the other thing you can do with this is you can have on day 1, you could have the students read the article independently and then have discussions. And then day 2, they could come back. And then once they've read and they've had discussions, then the students can come to the quiz and answer their quiz questions. And they can do their writing prompt so that they've had an opportunity to read and discuss before they actually do the writing and the quizzes. And again, in the annotations, the students can annotate, you can annotate. That's another great feature of the capability of Newsela. Okay, I'm going to take you into the teacher binder now so you can see some of the information that is collected for you very easily and simply. As I open up my binder, I'm just going to open up my second period class here, and it's going to show me my students, and it's going to show me the articles that I've recently assigned. I can open those up further to see the students and how those students are doing. I can see some formative information. I can also see some summary information that I can use for a variety of ways to score my students. So these happen to be the last couple of articles that I've assigned to my second period class. If I click on this drop-down arrow right here, it opens up and shows me my students. I like to sort my students alphabetically just because I'm used to seeing my roster that way. And then I can see what level the student is reading at, the last time they've had the activity, the day that we assigned it, how much time they spend, their score. I can look at their written response. I can open it up and see what Alex wrote to me. I can respond to her. I can see what she annotated. I can also come over here and reset the quiz if for some reason she feels or I feel that we need to kind of redo that. I have that capability in my pro feature binder. I can scroll through all my classes. I can see what my students are doing. I can see what levels they're reading at, take a quick glance. The other thing I can do is I can click on a student. Let's say I'm going to click on Alex here since she's my first student. I'm going to open up her information and I can get some really good summary information about how she's been doing throughout the year. So I can see over here, this is the grade level that I can see she's working at. She is an 8th grader, so it's going to dash that line for me. I can see where she's been kind of trending, kind of leveling off here a little bit, and Newsela is narrowing down to what her level is. The dots, I can hover on the dots and get a quick glance as to what she is reading. And I can look down here to see a little bit more. I can see that she is reading articles in her English class also, and I can see the scores how she's averaging there. I can see the standards that she's getting. I can see the standards she's mastering, the standards that she's struggling with, and so on. So thank you for joining me today. I'm going to stop right there, and I hope that you've learned quite a bit, and we'll talk to you soon.